All right, now that we're actually live, let me change the background real quick. Dear God. Went and talked for a hot second. Totally didn't notice I wasn't live. All right, now that there's 28 people here, this is going to be I think I called him, where is it? The tinfoil hat guy or something along those lines. This is the guy who thinks his neighbors are broadcasting radio waves through their hot tub or through their tent into his house just to fuck with him. He came back with his competency hearing today. Shocker, it didn't go well. It did not go well. I do have a question for you guys. Let me flip over to the chat real quick. Should we go? The good news is it doesn't count as mute. Exactly. That's why I get the big bucks. Yeah, I'll never master this shit. This is the problem with going program to program to program that all start differently. But this is my question. This is 40 minutes and 39 seconds. Do you want me to go 1.5 speed or just roll with it 40 minutes normal speed? There is a lot to get through, but pretty much the entire video, when I watched it twice yesterday, was solid. This is the video I was going to play yesterday, but by the time I got done, it was already at like an hour, and I didn't want to do 3 hours. So let me know if you guys want to do faster or just normal. Yeah, I kind of feel bad for him. He's one of the few times, because obviously I cover just absolute dumb people. 1.5 it is. Not shocked by that whatsoever. Should cut down on the time a little bit. And if it does get too fast and you can't understand it, let me know. Oh, you know what? Let's do that. Let's split the difference. I got a couple ones and I got a couple. Yep, exactly. Idaho Wiggles. I'm going to do 1.25. If it does get dreadfully boring, I'll turn it up to 1.5. Let me bring this up and we can do this. Oh, but to finish my thought, damn, that's spicier than I was expecting. To finish my thought, I do make fun of like dumb people all the time. Like that's the basis of my channel is to make fun of dumb people. But this guy I almost feel bad for because he's so legitly crazy. Here we go. Let me know if there's any bugs or anything.
Thank you. Yes. And we now call cause number 23CR1439, the state of Texas versus John Walker Bordash Jr., who is present with his attorney, Mr. West, and the state's attorney. And the court had earlier ordered, I think, in an agreement by all parties that the defendant undergo an examination for competency. Dr. Ed Rapond, licensed psychiatrist, was appointed to handle this matter. And we have received a report dated February 3rd, 2025, with his analysis. And the parties have an opportunity to review it, state and defense.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
I'm going to identify and describe this as Court's Exhibit Number 1 on this docket on this date. Is called, referred to as Court's Exhibit Number 1. It will be placed into the record for the purposes of this hearing. Any objections, state?
No, Your Honor.
And defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Is there anyone that wants to add from the state on this matter in this hearing? What about you, Mr.
No,
West? Nothing to add? Mr. Bordash, you're a PhD, so
yes,
you've earned being called a doctor. Have you had a chance to review this with Mr. West?
No.
The report?
You have to look at it real quick. Yes.
You should do that. Thank you. Go ahead. Y'all,
Oh, you don't go.
look, whatever you get in private and go over with him. He has a right to know what that is. Are you here? In this one? We now call cause number 23 CR1439, the state of Texas versus John Walter Bordash Jr. The defendant is present with Mr. West, John West, his attorney, and the state's attorney. We are picking up a matter as soon as we have gotten the information concerning the matter of competency concerning the defendant. A motion suggesting incompetency and request for examination was filed on in October of 2024 by the defense, and we had some matters taken up in the meantime.
I'm gonna play it like this. Let me change the background to black. That way you guys can see the narration by the original poster, because it is good sometimes. Change it. There we go. All right, back to it.
The defendant's placement on bond. This indictment of the defendant was handed up by the grand jury on September 20th of 2023 and has been pending. And we've had some matters over the course of that time concerning defendant's bond and whether his bond should continue based upon circumstances that were brought to the court's attention. Then the defendant was placed on bond, and then later his bond was revoked by this court upon a hearing determining that the bond conditions were not being met properly by the defendant. A motion suggesting incompetency and request for examination was filed again in October of 2024. The court ordered Dr. Ed Grappon, licensed psychiatrist, to conduct an analysis and evaluation of the defendant. That was done. We have received Dr. Grappon's report dated February 3rd of 2024, and the court has given copies of this to the state and to the defense. So, in summary, upon evaluation, Dr. Grappon's report includes information about Dr. Ed Grappon, where Dr. Grappon is a licensed psychiatrist. This court is well informed of. I believe I first met Dr. Grappon when he was brought into the James Byrd murder cases that this judge was part of the prosecution of in 1998, and Dr. Grappon analyzed defendants and testified during that trial. So the court has known him since 1998 and known Dr. Grappon to be a highly qualified man and has his medical doctorate in psychiatry and has evaluated countless individuals in civil practice and in criminal cases here in these courts in Jefferson County for decades, and his reputation is pristine on his abilities and his competency in doing his job. He has prepared a 5-page report after evaluating Dr. Bordash at the request of this court, after this court found good cause to have Dr. Bordash evaluated. And it has been made a part of this record as Court's Exhibit 1 for this hearing and any other purposes that are relevant to the defendant's competency. And within the report, the doctor details his interaction and his speaking with the defendant, and deems that the defendant is quite apparent in his words. Bash demonstrates significant paranoia, particularly in regard to the legal system. His judgment is impaired. His insight is almost nil. He is diagnosed by Dr. Grappon with delusional disorder, non-bizarre. As to competency, the defendant is not competent at this time to proceed to a resolution of his legal issues. He does not possess in his current state the ability to communicate with his attorney with a reasonable degree of rational understanding in the preparation of any defense. The defendant is mentally ill by definition. He would require involuntary psychiatric treatment intervention for restoration of competency. He has no insight into his condition and adamantly believes he is being victimized by this situation and the legal proceedings surrounding it. It is very unlikely that he will accept that he is operating under a totally false belief system. He states repeatedly he is the victim of electronic harassment perpetrated by his neighbors. And when asked about any of his legal difficulty, according to Dr. Rapon, the defendant gives a very paranoid and/or delusional explanation for the total scenario. All right. Then the final determination is that the defendant is mentally ill, is incompetent, and needs a hospital treatment, inpatient treatment at a proper facility of the state, with our hope of him gaining competency to stand trial in this case.
All right, so that's where we're going to pause. And because this thing hates me, it's going to make me switch it back every single time. So yeah, he's crazy. And again, who was it? Todd181. I've seen this. Hopefully this guy gets the help he needs. Yeah, hopefully he gets the help he needs and stops harassing his neighbors. If one of my neighbors was like, your deck is giving off an electromagnetic signal that is keeping me up at night, and then starts hitting, what was it? I forgot what the allegation was exactly from the last court hearing. It was something along the lines of he would come over to their house at like 5 o'clock in the morning and bang a shovel off their like wall on the outside. I hope he gets the help he needs and stops harassing his neighbors, because that shit, like I still feel bad for the neighbors, because the neighbors don't get anything outside of, yeah, well, we can hopefully put him back together. We don't have the technology now, but hopefully one day we can put him back together. As soon as he starts to talk, though, it's going to go downhill pretty quick, because he literally tries to use every single excuse in the book.
Anything the state wants to add to this report?
No, Your Honor.
What about the defense?
I do not, Your Honor. However, my client has reviewed this report and does not agree with the report.
Okay.
And didn't want to address the court, but I will stand by the report. I was the one that requested the competency in the first place, so I don't believe it's competent. So I believe the doctor's suggestion is correct, but my client does want to address the court.
Okay. Is that right, Dr. Bordash? You want to make a statement?
Yes.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any statement you make will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right. Lower your hand. I think you marked, I gave Mr. West a copy of this. You marked on that document. It's a duplicate. It's a duplicate of a true and accurate copy of what the court received from Dr. Edgar Pond, and I marked that as court's exhibit number 1 that you referred to and make notes. I didn't read your notes, but you can refer to those as necessary if you wish, and that's for you and your attorney to have. Go ahead. What would you like to add, sir?
Dr. Pond says I performed a standard psychiatric interview with the formulation of a formal mental status exam. No, he did not. I was not given the mini mental status exam, MMSE, and the Montreal Cognitive Assessment, also called the MOCA for short. On page 2, I guess he, third sentence from the bottom, it says he denies a history of mental health treatment, but has for a number of years been under the care of local psychiatrists for a diagnosis of narcolepsy, for which he takes Adderall on a daily basis. Actually, I acknowledge a history of mental health treatment for neurocognitive issues, for example, attention, concentration, processing speed, and motivation. And let's see, and has been for a number of years under the care of a local psychiatrist in Houston for diagnosis of HIV-associated neurocognitive disorder and narcolepsy, for which I take Adderall on a daily basis. It also,
he's kind of going to get, yeah, he's going to sort of get into the HIV angle for whatever reason. He's going to use something around that as an excuse for why they're pumping his house full of electromagnetic interference. Saw this earlier today. Judge Stevens is very professional even after being insulted. We'll get to that at the end. But yeah. Oh God, what is her name out of Wyandotte, Michigan? I might stream that because that was great. I just watched that today with Law Talk with Mike, his version of it. The lady who tried to insinuate that, goddamn, what is her name? Basically, she came in and insinuated it near the end that the judge was part of a swingers club. and she literally just started laughing on the bench. That's a different type of professionalism. Like, she didn't get upset. She didn't start swearing at the person. She started laughing because it was that funny. Where Judge Stevens is like, he was super serious about, no, here's why you're wrong, but didn't freak out like I've seen other judges do.
Also helps with trigeminal. Second, the next sentence, he does report that he has had essentially annual neuropsychological evaluations done over the past 10 years because of concerns about cognitive issues. That is true. However, it is because that I've been conscientious of ethics issues pertaining to competency for a long time because of my condition. And I have volunteered to undergo neuropsychological evaluations on an annual basis.
Yeah. The judge I was talking about, and I might even stream that tomorrow prior to the Super Bowl, maybe, but it was Judge DeSanto out of Wyandotte. She literally started laughing on the bench because the tenant that wasn't paying rent accused her of being in a swingers club.
Firm that can continue to work on a part-time basis. For this reason, I've been showing conscientious. I've been very conscientious about the ethical issues of competency, and I have been having Dr. Mario DeLay, Methodist Hospital in Houston, in the medical center, conduct these evaluations since 2011. Next page. Dr. Grapon says he reported that the date of his next examination was due to be at the end of January 2025. Yes. And a neurology consult was also set up by me for January 20th, 2025 at 3 p.m. with Dr. Mary Bowe, B.O., M.D. Let's see. The sixth sentence down. Apparently, this involves some interactions between he and the neighbor, which he seems to have generated by his delusional belief that they were somehow adversely affecting him through electromagnetic waves. Now, my response.
Yeah, you're being fucked with through electromagnetic waves. Let's see here. Let me cover Lurker 1 for 5 gifted memberships. Thank you as always. And Cerebral Tackle, Law Talk with Mike is covering that one now. I think Mike has seen a threesome or two. Hey, you don't leave your shirts unbuttoned like that with your chest hair all waving in the wind if you don't know a thing or two about a thing or two. You know what I'm saying?
Is whereas I acknowledge that in the past, were at one time considered delusional when they made these kinds of remarks, recent research over the past 10 to 15 years would suggest that there is some scientific validity to these claims. And certainly the World Health Organization has adopted electromagnetic hypersensitivity syndrome as part of the ICD-10 diagnostic codebook. The next one is, let's see, where it says affect is generally appropriate, although he has a number of somewhat paranoid ideas in regard to the legal system, the reason for he is in current legal difficulty, etc., etc., etc. Actually, no, I have reservations, not paranoid ideas. And the next one is he has a fixed delusional system in regard to what he feels are health-related problems that he is having because he is absolutely convinced that his neighbors are poisoning with microwaves from their home to his residence. No, I'm able to distinguish when symptoms of microwaving are occurring and when they are not, and to discriminate between who is most likely to engage in such deadly conduct. The next one is he basically told me that he has had some type of device which would read the stream of these electronic impulses, and he could determine that they were coming from the neighbor's residence. It's really kind of a well, not specific enough. Actually, on any kind of cell phone device, you can download applications that are written specifically to detect electromagnetic waves and their strength. Actually, you can see on any cell phone that there's a antenna icon with that gauges the strength of the signal that you're receiving. And so that's the same sensor that is being used by these applications. The one I was using is called Gauss meter. Gauss is a measure of the strength of a magnetic field. and it can also be measured using units called Teslas or microteslas. In these applications, the one I ended up using more than the other was Gauss meter, because I can take constant readings up to 300 seconds intervals and locate where hotspots were being found in my home. The first one was in the right bracket of my shower. It would sometimes the readings would be as high as 5,000 microteslas or higher. And then on.
So just personally speaking here, if I was going to go out of my way to theoretically shoot electromagnetic shit into his house, I'm not going to shoot it into his shower where he's only at maximum. He's only there one time a day, and I don't know when he's there. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, you're genuinely trying to harm someone, you're going to do it like in their bedroom where they're going to be for 5 to 12 hours every day. But no, what was the right bracket of his shower? That's the ticket. That's the sweet spot.
On the shower wall that separated the jacuzzi, those would go down to maybe 3,800 microteslas. Past that is my master bedroom closet, in line with the shower wall bracket. Readings could go down to about 25 microteslas. And then in the garage, about 10 feet from the garage door itself, which is still in line with the shower, the readings would go down to about 2,000 microteslas. Now, the progressive decline in strength of magnetic fields would indicate that it's coming from the direction of my neighbors. They have never had a white tent put up in their backyard before until started having these experiences. And so,
yes, it's causing him to have experiences. If you guys watched, I want to say it was the last time this guy was in court, actually. The people he is bringing this against, they're like elderly. So they're not setting up a white tent, pointing an electromagnetic device at his shower all day, every day. Is this the tinfoil man? This is indeed the tinfoil man. So what happens when someone turns on the microwave? Yeah, exactly. Like, his entire argument falls apart. Kisker says 500 microteslas, by the way, is weak. A typical fridge magnet emits around 5,000 microteslas. So apparently they're sticking fridge magnets all over his shower. That's what he's complaining about.
So they are coming from that direction. I've also determined that at times the whatever device is in that tent is sometimes shifted, and I pick up high readings around between my bedroom window and where I lay my head on my bed. Since then, I have put in a pane of door glass from a previous office, because glass is used as an insulator for magnetic fields, electromagnetic fields.
This one's
And that was enough to reduce the signal strength from about 2,800 microteslas down to about 700. So about a 75% decrease in these strengths. I've also put jugs of water.
Jugs of water.
To try to absorb the rest of the microwaving. However, that proved to be kind of messy, because by morning time, the jugs had expanded because of heating and leaked onto my.
But allow me to interrupt just for a second.
I'm going to interrupt first, Judge, because, well, guys, I have a KFAR life story. Joseph Bobbitt, heck, KFAR, I love your channel. Thank you for being here. I'm starting to get more, not more new people, but I'm starting to get more people rolling into my live streams because I'm getting a ton more subscribers, so it's kind of pushing me a little bit. I see Clown Vet. Yes, 1,000%. But KFAR story time. So this is going along the lines of the jugs of water expanding in his room, blah, blah, blah. So my brother is a year younger than me. He is 6'1", 240. Not like a bodybuilder or in great shape, but like he can hold his own. When we were growing up, he used to be deathly afraid of the movie, what was it, Signs, where the aliens are scared of water. And if you, oh God, it was one of the first times you see the aliens in Signs. It was walking past like a sliding glass door. Well, at the house we lived in, we had almost the exact copy sliding glass door. So my brother was like tripping balls about aliens coming into the house. So my brother, and this was probably like in high school, so it's not like he was a kid. In high school, he would leave his door cracked a tiny bit, but leave random cups of water everywhere behind his door because he wanted, if the aliens came in and knocked the shit out, they would hit the water and they'd start burning and then they'd leave. So that's when he's like, yeah, they kind of got messy and got all over my floor. Triggered that memory. Dimension Lord, member for 29 months. Just got here. What did I miss? Tinfoil Hat Man is accusing his neighbors, his elderly neighbors, of putting up a white tent in their backyard to stream, what is it, electronic, magnetic, whatever, waves into his house to mess with him. Well, I guess this guy can turn his house into a Faraday cage. Yeah, and honestly, if he was to do that, he might get paid by the government to be like, hey, you should do this to all of our buildings. Swing away. Yeah, exactly. It was so funny. And the thing was, we would just mess with him. We would just, every few nights, we would just push his door open just a little bit, knock over a few cups, and just not say anything. Where's BSBT to take on this guy? I bet it's very thought-provoking. Well, rumor has it he's currently in Taylor, Michigan, fighting Eric Martin for the Dumbest Human on the Planet award. That movie scares the crap out of my ex-wife. She walked out of the theater after that scene. Signs is a good movie. If you haven't seen Signs, go watch it. And for those of you who didn't catch my Ricky Bobby joke in my last video, go watch Ricky Bobby.
Guys, you're in more detail repeating what you had earlier toward the court before in previous hearings on this matter. Let me ask you what you've never articulated to this court clearly is, why would your neighbors do such a thing that you think they're doing to intentionally cause you harm by this fictitious, microwave attack on your mind?
Todd, what could happen to this guy if he's restored to competency? I'm not sure. Jail time is the answer. KFAR the hard ass. I want like 90% of the people I cover in like prison. Yeah, this guy, not so much. This guy, from what it seems like, he's a doctor. So in my head, he's more useful than most of the people I cover just off that alone. If he's restored to actual competency, he would probably leave his neighbors alone and his neighbors wouldn't care. I think personally, somebody waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning and beating on my house, that's what they have a problem with. If he went back to before this happened and it was just like weird, but like didn't talk to anybody, I would have no problem with him going back to his house, living a normal life, no charges, no jail time. Yeah, it's the one with Mel Gibson and the guy from Gladiator. Drawing a blank on his name.
Not on my
Why would they do that? What do you think the motive would be if this is true?
Well, it could be religious objections to my sexual orientation and the fact that I was in an interracial relationship. I mean, years ago we had.
Okay, you think that might be it?
That might be it, amongst other things. The fact that I suspended fees because Miss Payton showed up at my door making ridiculous claims that I should pay my fees because we needed to replace the street. That street won't be needing to be replaced for another 75 years.
Did he just say she was coming to his house talking crazy stuff? Like, dude, you just got ruled incompetent by a judge or by a doctor. No, not Russell Crowe, the guy. Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix. That's what I'm looking for. He's also in Signs. For some reason, I forget his name. But yeah, the fact that he's calling someone crazy, like, read the room, my guy.
I don't think.
Are you talking about homeowner fees?
Yes.
Oh.
I don't think we should be taking up,
Well-
paying fees when neither one of us is going to be alive when that street needs to be replaced.
What else do you think? What else?
And the fact that, whenever we had a homeowners association, which I have not been invited to for ever since Mr. Warren, Vanessa Yates moved into my home, a gentleman of color with whom I had a relationship for about 25 years.
So if you had this is the shit that kills me, because this isn't like a sovereign citizen argument. This is just like why are you even trying to say this argument? So he's accusing his neighbors of shooting microwaves or whatever the fuck into his house to fuck with him, not to like end his life, not to do anything crazy. They're not pumping gas, into his house to try to, while he's asleep. No, they're just pumping electromagnetic waves into his house to inconvenience him because he was in an interracial gay relationship for 20 years. I feel like if they genuinely had a problem with it, they would have started this 25 years ago. Like there's videos and videos of people who genuinely hate those things, and they do those things spur of the moment. They don't wait 25 years to not even do anything crazy, just like inconvenience him. Yeah, exactly, Todd. The goal is to get this guy to stop the behavior. And if they can treat him to him to snap out of him and be like, oh shit, my bad, guys. He can go back to living his life. No problem from me.
And lost him to a number of factors.
Is there any?
Terribly heartbreaking.
Okay.
Otherwise, anyway,
otherwise
we used to have lawn care service that was provided by a black-owned a company. Okay, and they did a good job. That all changed when because Ms. Payton and Mr. Payton are very prejudiced individuals.
Okay.
They had a robust gentleman from LaBelle, the name of Kane, provide yard care service until I raised the issue with the fact that he kept raising fuel cost. But when I looked at a graph provided with about the cost of fuel over a 10-year period, it was pretty much now it was erratic. But it was
you made. I think I understand your point. Is
I forgot that this guy exists, guys. The king of the trailer park himself, Diddy Kong, the Butthole Destroyer. This channel sucks. I'm sorry, but this channel's name isn't your mother. Sorry. Okay, so if anybody's in here that's like a mod, if any like the drama people come in and start talking crazy, just time them out for 24 hours and kick the can down the road. Diddy Kong can stay as long as he wants. Plot twist, he should start a business putting up a layer of cork with hemp woven around it to block EMF as insulation. Not only would it be actually factual and work, but make millions. Probably. It seems like he's got nothing better to do than fill up jugs of water around his house to block it. So putting him to work on something useful might actually help.
anything else you want to add?
With regards to Dr. Grapon's report?
Sure.
Okay, yes.
This is the focus of
keep,
where we are.
keep going.
Exactly. Exactly.
Let's see. He will admit there is no medical provider who has supported his opinion, and that that is the basis of his alleged medical problems. Actually, I would rewrite that as he will admit that there is no medical provider who has validated his hypothesis that is about symptoms that have experienced that are specific to electromagnetic hypersensitivity. Hypersensitive syndrome. I understand the need for independent third-party validation to my claims. Okay. And then the next sentence. Apparently,
I know what he's saying. I've read it on numerous sites in the record. We're taking time up just repeating what's been said. I just want to know what you want to add that's not duplicative of what he has already stated.
I've had a Latino tile worker notice a difference in the EMF readings I was getting on my cell phone after he removed a meshwork that was under the jacuzzi bench. Okay, so he's seen that for himself. I acknowledge myself that in the past others have been described as delusional, but I possess the research skills to use appropriately designed applications to measure electromagnetic flux in the environment, take repeated measures that are reliable and concentrated in areas of my home, and to determine the direction of the source by the strength of the signals. I don't know if his wife is directly involved. I think it's more Mr. Payton and their yard man. They feed into one another. Certainly the yard man feeds into Miss Payton, particularly while.
So now it's not just his neighbors, but now the conspiracy theory gets larger. Now it's the yard man. I just don't understand this at all. Oh, God. I just don't get it. This is like the flat earth conspiracy that apparently everyone is being paid off by NASA to tell them that the earth isn't flat. And they say, oh, Australia isn't real. And then somebody like in Australia will be like, for that to make sense, NASA would have to pay millions of people to say the earth is round that don't even live in America. Like this is the larger the conspiracy gets, the less likely the chance that it's actually a decent theory. Like you can't lie or keep a secret that large.
Oh, Mr. Payton is not around.
Okay. You've expressed that sometimes before. What else, sir? We need to conclude this hearing and move forward.
I'm able to, okay. I would not say so much that they are producing some type of electronic signal that is causing me various symptoms. They're generating these microwaves that are inducing symptoms separate from symptoms associated with HIV-associated neurocognitive disorder. So I'm able to distinguish that there is two issues. Let's see, by process of reasoning called convergent validity. Okay.
What else?
Also, that these experiences are not present when I'm in other locales because of a lack of exposure to electromagnetic flux. Okay, so I do not think my judgment is impaired. However, a person exposed to these inductions can be under a great deal of emotional stress, such that one might be desperate to stop them. I'm not keen on reacting or responding to any aggression that is shown towards me. Instead, I think of ways to arrest them so that people just expend their energies for nothing at all. They're not reinforced for them, and I'm not faulted for responding to them. And one of the ways is that I bought 20 to 40 yards of Faraday fabric, which is fabric infused with copper and nickel particles that reduce the entry or the strength of electromagnetic waves into my home. And they have been exceedingly successful doing so.
Okay, time out. Time out. Let's go back. Look at the judge's face. Look at the judge's face.
The entry or the strength of electromagnetic waves into my home. And they have been exceedingly successful in doing so.
You made that point. We'll conclude, please. Thank you.
Okay. I would take issue that that I can't provide a rationale for my experiences that can be validated independently, and that I do not, I'm not mentally ill in the sense that I have an emotional or affective disorder, but rather I have neurocognitive deficits that are consistent with the dopaminergic reward system in the brain and its purpose. Okay. I am willing to accept voluntary psychiatric admission to Methodist Hospital under the care of Dr. Vo and Dr. DeLay. I do have insight into my condition. In fact, because a PhD teaches MDs, I often educate them about my condition, and I can provide research reports to back up my opinions. So I suppose that's by and large everything I could add.
All right. The court.
Before the judge gets into this, and there's like only 10 minutes left, so it's going to get into the good wordy bits. So I guess he's one of these 5G nuts. Probably. He seems right along that conspiracy theory route. This is what I'm thinking. More than likely, he's tried to call the police. So more than likely, the police have been to his house. He's going to point at the white tent, say, well, they got something in the white tent doing something to my house. The officers are going to look at the neighbor and say, hey, can we look in your white tent? And they're going to say, yeah, sure. They're going to look in the white tent and go, oh, shit, it's empty. The fuck are you talking about, guy? So every time he says anything about the white tent this, the white tent that, they got Area 51 in their backyard. More than likely, officers have already been to the house and looked and been like, yeah, they have a jacuzzi and a tent. That's it. So it just like kind of reinforces the fact that this guy's just talking out of his ass.
And what you are telling this court, do you stand by its accuracy, the accuracy of what you have told this court under oath?
Yes.
And is this the same accuracy that you have used in the interactions with this court in the past? When you speak to the court or make statements to the court, is it that same accuracy that you have used in the past?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to remind you, you remember when I think one of our first meetings, you called me a drunkard. And we all heard that. And that I had a reputation of being a drunkard when I don't drink alcohol. Do you remember that?
Well,
Do you remember that?
yes,
See,
I
the
remember
point
that.
is
Yes,
that
and there was some basis for me saying that.
there was, God bless
Yes.
you. Well,
Yes.
were you mistaking me for somebody else?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Everybody,
You
this whole town,
you identify as attending a
this
meal?
court does not drink alcohol.
Okay.
And I'm a soft drinker, and that's the way I am.
A gentleman that whom I had no.
So let's just break this shit down now. I have seen Judge Stevens dozens of times. 2-3 dozen times in court. Covered cases like this from him before where we watch it for 40 minutes. Not once did I ever think to myself, that guy's drunk. Not once. Even while I myself was almost drunk. So the fact that this guy's been in front of him a handful of times and went, he's arguing against me, therefore he must be drunk. That's a terrible argument, and you probably shouldn't double down on it in front of the judge you're calling a drunk. Just my 2 cents. In the words of Tones, maybe I'm just overthinking it.
The question is validity,
All right.
since he worked as a waiter there at my restaurant.
All right. This court doesn't purchase alcohol from businesses.
And there was also an alternative
restaurants. I don't.
hypothesis.
But that's
Because of
that's
your
neither- that's the first time I've ever heard that one. But in this job, this court is not surprised of what can be said, but it's what is supported.
Well, have you taken medication before? Are you
Sir?
taking medication now for your tremors?
Oh, my familial tremors,
Yes.
which you see, that's another thing.
Are you
These
taking
are my this is you have misdiagnosed this as well. Yes, everybody knows that this court has what's called familial tremors. I got it from my mother. My mother had it, and so it was passed on.
I
But
understand.
I also am an artist. I'm able to control those, and no, I don't even take medicine for it. I've only had it my whole life, and it has not affected anything to do with my ability to think, function, and that's you and I are completely different, sir. This is apples and oranges, what we're talking about, and this court. As there's been never been a question about this court's competency, nor a question of this court's ability to conduct myself physically. And I actually still run in the 10K whenever I can. I think it's pretty good. And I play sports. But I think if you, of all people, shouldn't be making conclusions when you don't have the basis of it. And if you know anything about familial tremors, you know it has nothing to do with competency and incompetency, and it is one of those situations that.
So he's actually not a sovereign citizen. He's just a legitimate guy who is mentally unwell. I know it's crazy saying he's legitimately mentally unwell because we all accuse sovereign citizens and frauditors of being crazy, but this guy's like diagnosed mentally unfit. But yeah, he's talking about his health because this guy keeps calling him a drunk. and then asked him if he was taking medication for his tremors. So he's just breaking it down like, you said this, here's why you're wrong. But I'm glad he's not getting like, I don't want to say angry, because you probably get frustrated if somebody crazy brought that up to you, but like, he's not freaking out. Stevens also has ED. He just yells at it and it responds.
Traceable. That is of all human qualities, one of the least problematic of all. You are the function of, you are the focus of this.
There are
You
some
and your
conditions
actions,
in which
you,
people are
I'm sorry, sir, you
they are
interrupt,
having problems.
you interrupt, and we can't both speak when this court reporter is taking down. I've had to scold people in the past, but I should.
Yes. We're going to talk about this for a second. Is that a Pokemon behind you? Yeah, that's Pikachu. Because Chris Ryder said something about Pokemon or Pikachu. And because fuck Chris Ryder, we went out and got a gigantic Pikachu. Because that's how we roll around here. The guy who thinks once you hit a certain age, you should just like off your mother, which was weird. Just because his mom hates him, he thinks everyone's moms are bad. So he thinks that you should just instantly off them when you hit like 40, which was weird. And then he wanted to say, if you have Pokemon, you're childish, yet he's the one perpetually in a blanket fort streaming dumb shit to the internet. So yeah, that is a Pokemon. Oh yeah, that Pikachu, rumor has it, likes cookies. If you know, you know.
Controlling somebody like you, except I come to know enough hearings that you want to control every hearing. You want it on your terms. And the fact of the matter is, you were indicted by a grand jury. You have had hearings here where this court allowed you to post bond, and then you violated your bond conditions. And the statements you have made, not only at this court about alcohol abuse, God, my goodness, everybody knows differently. And then you attribute that as familial tremors caused by alcohol inducement. That's bizarre. You know it, and I know it. You just don't have the basis of connecting that a physician should have in any education that you have had up to this point on making a diagnosis of bizarre terms like you have made. This is you. When you're here, you say things that roll the eyes of everyone. You accused your neighbors of attempting to harm, deliberately trying to harm you by using microwave energy with little or no basis. The rules of law will apply, as they should in all cases here. Chapter 46B of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure deals with incompetency to stand trial. Under 46B.004, the issue of competency to stand trial was raised, and it was suggested by your attorney on your behalf. The court ordered an analysis to be made by a competent physician, Dr. Ed Pond. He was an expert under 46B.022 who filed his report under Article 46B.025, and his report says that you are incompetent to stand trial and proceed to a resolution of your legal issues, that you are mentally ill. And from testimony of the neighbors, they fear for their safety because of the actions you have taken, your bizarre response to your theory that the neighbors are conspiring to harm you with electromagnetic energy. The law is the burden of the trial court to conduct the formal inquiry that the court has done, and that resulted in the examination on competency. Some evidence standard is met, and this to proceed to the competency issue, there is a bona fide doubt standard for determining whether there should be an inquiry that this court reasoned was valid, and that the court may make an initial determination of your competency to determine whether examination should be made not only based upon the court's own observations, but other information the court may receive in its hearings, and may make a determination on based not only on the court's own observations, uh, but also with a psychiatrist's report as been submitted in this case. Thus, the issue of competency is before this court, and this court deems that the evidence supports fully that the defendant is incompetent to stand trial and is unlikely to be restored to competency in the foreseeable future, based upon the information from previous hearings, and then most importantly, the evidence submitted from Court's Exhibit Number 1, admitted without objection, Dr. Abrapon's report, and the other statements, bizarre statements that are being expressed by this defendant. So, Dr. Bordash, the court will deem you at this time to be medically deemed incompetent. We are going to transfer you to the proper state medical facility where treatment will be made for you, and that you will hopefully cooperate in that treatment. And our whole hope is that one day soon, hopefully, that competency will be restored to you. And this court will sign the appropriate orders to ensure that that shall be accomplished. Anything else to be added by the state?
No, Your Honor.
Added by the defense?
No.
All right, we are in recess on this. That is all. Here's
All right, guys, that's the video. I'm trying to do, I don't know, I want to say quicker live streams lately, without, we've kind of, what's that meme where it's the Grim Reaper going door to door to door, killing people? I feel like we've done that with frauditors. I know my go-to is normally like Stream Snipe Chris, Stream Snipe Broken System, Broken Trust, Stream Snipe Jeremiah Payne. They're no longer here to stream snipe, so I'm just trying to find some things and stream those for you guys. Like I said, I'm going to try to stream court for live streams, traffic stops and other nonsense for videos, unless a video has to go out as a live stream, or vice versa. The court thing has to go out as a video. But yeah, that's it. Everybody have a good rest of your night. I do have it redirected to Law Talk with Mike. Just, I guess, tell him I sent you, and I'll see you over there. Everybody have a good rest of your night. Rest of your night.